We just quick update. So we're obviously not in our old home anymore. We're at my dad's house, who lived about 10 minutes from us. So we're crashing here. You know, it feels good at 38 to move back in with your parents. You know,
It's awesome.
life's really looking up, but it's going great. And it's actually one of the reasons. I mean, there's a part of this. The reason this whole thing worked out is because we knew that we had the option to be here for a couple months while we got things built out, and my
Girls can
stepmom's
still go to school.
yeah, girls are still in the same school. My stepmom's family, her mother needs some additional help and care right now, so she's able to go up and do that and kind of take care of the house. So you know that's one of the reasons it's working. But so we're now in the phase, you know, this month, next month, where things will start moving quicker, and we'll start hopefully getting on the road sometime in January, maybe early February. Fingers crossed for January, but
You guys can also follow along with like the people building on our van. I don't know if you want to shout out their Instagram or.
yeah, do I have to?
Well, what is it? It's Future. I don't know. I forget what it is. All
Future
the time.
Roads Van Co.
So you can follow. They post funny videos sometimes and like updates on what's going on with our van and like what they're building currently. So if you want to follow them,
Yeah.
I'm sure they'd love that.
They're doing some funny stuff as well too. So. So yeah, so last week when we visited family in Denver, my brother and sister-in-law, we got to see the van. So that video's up if you want to check that out.
It didn't totally freak me out, which was a positive.
Yeah.
So, that's good.
So, but yeah, let's get into some of the questions y'all had.
All right. So one of the first questions was about food prep and cooking and food storage, I guess. Yes, to answer your question, Carla, there will be a mini fridge. You could probably see that in the video. That's one thing that's already kind of in the van. So it looked like a nice fridge.
It just won't be big.
Yeah, we'll be able to store a couple days worth of food. So yes, we will be making lots of grocery store stops. We will be cooking in the van. There is a 2-burner induction stove, so we have to have special pots and pans for that. Luckily, we already had some, so it's something we don't have to buy. But so yeah, we'll be preparing meals. Lacey, I think you asked about like spices. That didn't look like there was a place for spices. There will be a little spot to keep stuff like that, like in the van.
A little pull-out drawer.
Yeah, in the van
rack.
that we rented from Kelsey and Matt, they had a little thing above like the stove that had like you could store like 6 different spices in it. So we will be able to cook, and we'll be able to cook like normal meals for the most part. It'll just be like much smaller scale than what I'm used to doing. So
A lot.
there won't be like leftover meals and that kind of thing, because
No.
we won't have the storage for it. But and there won't be any like freezer space. There's enough freezer space, I think they said, for a couple things of pint-sized Ben and Jerry's, if that's
Yeah.
what we want. But
I think somebody
no frozen chicken nuggets.
somebody asked like, what are you gonna miss the most, and that might be one of the things.
Yeah.
Like I kind of like
The freezer.
the freezer, but even just like little things like yes,
A microwave.
I like to have the occasional drink, and a couple of them. So like I won't have my whiskey ice rocks. I won't have my chilled beer glasses. I'm kind of sad about that, but
Sorry.
we'll get over it.
Lacey, you also mentioned like eating out to explore the community. We will be doing that too. That's going to be, we love to eat out and explore different, foods and places. So we'll be doing that too. Just try not to do it too much for health reasons and for, it's expensive.
I think the other thing, and it wasn't asked maybe in the questions that we got, but it's been asked before, is like, so we're doing this full time. We're going to be living in the van full time, traveling full time. But with my work, when I travel, if it makes sense, the family will kind of come along, and we'll stay in hotels those nights. If I travel just by myself and Megan and the girls stay, they might get a hotel wherever we're at that moment. So we'll also like be supplementing with hotels and eating out and doing those types of things. And so really the first month at least I'm very curious of like really budgeting. I'm not saying budgeting like only spend this amount, but see what it costs. So if we eat out what we think we're going to eat out and we stay in a few hotels here and there, like what do our actual expenses become living full time versus the expenses that we've had living in a home.
Yeah.
So we'll find that out too.
I think another one of the main questions is like, why a van versus a motorhome?
Very good question, Kimber, and everybody else who thinks we're crazy, including ourselves. Do you want to answer that one? Or?
I don't know. No, because I feel like this van thing kind of started with like your little harebrained idea. So why don't you go ahead and answer that one?
Megan, if you're in trouble, just say the password so that people know that you're okay. Yes, maybe I was the one that was heavier on the van, and the reason is a couple of things. One, when we rented the van in Colorado to kind of try this thing out, there is a super nice benefit of being able to get wherever you want to go with a smaller vehicle. I don't know if you guys can see Lily. Hi, Lily. So we stayed a night in the mountains in Colorado, and then on the way back we stopped in Breckenridge, Colorado to grab some lunch, and we could park the van in the middle of the town in a parking lot in a regular parking space. If we had a motorhome, if we had some of these bigger vehicles, that doesn't become an option anymore. And so the ability to kind of get to certain places, seemed like it could be advantageous. Granted, you're losing a lot of space and some living space. That's kind of the second thing is, while yes, we're going to be living in this van, we do anticipate that we're going to be spending a lot of time outside. We're not necessarily going to be, at least we don't think, we're going to go to a place and spend all of our day inside the vehicle. So we'll try to follow the weather.
We're trying to follow the weather.
Do that
for the
type of
most
stuff.
part, yeah.
But then there's a part of it, and I think you agree with me on this, maybe
Which
not.
is cool.
Is there's a challenge to it.
Oh yeah, the challenge, and it's cool.
Sure, challenge, cool, however you want to
different.
call that. But like living in a smaller space, there is a challenge to that, and I am slightly intrigued by the idea of, can we do it?
Yeah.
And maybe we can. I don't know.
And I also like challenges. So.
Yeah, but all that to say, there's an out. I mean, let's be real. There is an out. That if we get 3 months down this path and hate the van, everything about its small space, we can very quickly, go buy an RV, a motorhome from a million different dealers that are across the country.
Because to be honest, a motorhome would have been easier. We could already be on the road right now.
We could already be on the road right now. Yeah,
it would have been easier and, quite frankly, less expensive.
Slightly cheaper. Not much,
so
but
we're going
a little
with
bit.
Less space and more expensive.
Yes.
So
yes, financially not the best decision. But so like that's the other thing is like if we hate it, we want to go to the RV. That is an option that we have down the road. But if we wanted to do the van, which we kind of thought we wanted to, that had to be the first decision because we couldn't start in an RV and try to switch to a van. The timing wouldn't work out. So
yeah.
Hope that answers your question, Kimber, and some of the others. And
okay, moving on. How are we going to make coffee every morning? It's a great question, Teresa. It also kind of plays into your what's counterproductive to van life, but we can't live without. I legit can't live without coffee, I don't think. So we would like to probably, I know my uncle had mentioned an AeroPress that would certainly be more space. It would be easier space-wise to do an AeroPress, but with the amount of coffee that we drink collectively together, we probably need to do like a drip coffee most mornings. So it's going to just be a little bulkier. We have to plug it in every day. It's not as like...
Well, it's one of the things that when we worked with Kelsey and Matt Hurdle in the van, it's one of the things we said is I need coffee. So we wanted to have the electrical to actually have a drip coffee maker. So
I've been looking at coffee makers just at regular stores, smaller ones, of course, not like your big, 12-cup coffee makers, but like little ones that we can plug in and do drip coffees just so it's easier. We can get more quantity of coffee quicker.
Yeah, I drink a lot.
Yeah, you do.
It's probably not healthy.
The other thing that we had told them that was like a non-negotiable was a microwave, and we've actually since then decided to go against the microwave.
Oh, you keep talking. I gotta go let Lily out now.
Just because we thought it took up too much space, and it was like, well, what do we? I mean, the only thing you could really do with a microwave is heat food up, or I don't know, make frozen chicken nuggets, I guess. But we don't have a freezer to store said chicken nuggets, so it kind of became like, do we really need the microwave? So I hope we don't miss that later. We're looking into maybe doing like a like an air fryer toaster oven combo type thing that we can store away and use, so we can actually
Yes,
like maybe
maybe.
bake in it a little bit, or maybe make toast or something like that. So.
Heat up some nugs.
Chicken nuggets. So yeah. So there's the answer to that.
What other questions we got on
well,
there?
my uncle asked about your T-Rex costume. Will you be bringing
The T-Rex
will
is
you be
coming.
bringing
Jasper. Jasper is coming on the van.
Oh boy.
I'm excited to introduce
Let's
the
hope it
world to
fits.
Jasper.
Okay. What's next?
Does that say divorce? Are we getting a divorce?
No. This is from my friend Diane. Her
Oh,
questions.
Diane. Okay.
Sorry, my handwriting's not very good. How many pieces of clothing for each person? That's a good question. I've kind of thought about this a lot since I love clothes. A lot less than what we have now. I was thinking in my head somewhere around 7 outfits per person. It's going to be a mixture of, yeah.
Look, you are so full of it. I love you to death, but the answer to this question will come.
Whatever fits.
Exactly, whatever fits. So once we actually take possession of the van, we'll have to bring it back from Colorado to Texas, and we'll probably spend a week or so just getting it kind of outfitted and putting our stuff in. If she could take 400 outfits, she would.
No.
So the answer to this question is we will find out in a month and a half. Whatever fits will probably come. But
there won't be any fancy outfits going. It's going to be like athletic wear, swimsuits, maybe one pair of jeans. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, whatever fits.
Whatever fits.
What locations are at the top of the list, or do we want to hit first? Probably the big one for me, maybe you have some other answers. The kind of one that keeps coming up with our girls and with us is the Grand Canyon. That's definitely top of our list. I don't know if it's what we're going to hit first, but it's on the top of our list. They keep talking about it. They're excited to see it. Neither one of us have ever seen it, so it'll be a new one for all 4 of us. So we're super excited about the Grand Canyon.
Grand Canyon, the girls have mentioned like Niagara Falls. Just this week they brought up Mount Rushmore. So like, they're at that stage of school where they're learning about some
places.
of these things. So, but
Yeah.
we want to see it all.
Which kind of ties into like one of these questions of like how many hours of schoolwork. I'm not sure on that one yet because I've never homeschooled, minus the virtual schooling we did last year in the dreaded 2020 year. So that's going to be kind of a learning curve for me, I assume, once we get into it. It won't be what they do at school. It won't be 7 hours a day or anything like what they do at school. I mean, it'll probably be a few hours a day. And obviously some of this stuff, like when we go to the Grand Canyon and we go to some of these national parks and some of these big monuments, those will be learning experience in and of itself. They'll be fun experiences, but also part of the learning process.
Yeah.
So
I think I read somewhere or heard that when you think about how much time kids spend learning in school on a day-to-day basis in 2nd grade and kindergarten, elementary school, it's actually pretty small. It's an hour or 2. The rest is like social. The rest is play activities that there's learning that goes on with that. That's not to suggest it doesn't, but I think they'll get that in other ways. So when it comes to actually like sitting down and working on math problems and whatever else they do in 2nd grade, it'll probably 2 hours maybe a day.
Yeah, a few hours a day.
Something like that.
But will they play team sports and how? I can't imagine how they could play team sports. That would be a tough one.
Yeah.
Team sports. Now my kids are very active. They love all activities. So if there's things we can find along the way, again, also a learning curve where we can do like drop-in classes to like, I don't know, ninja gyms or gymnastics, I don't know, those kind of places, then we'll absolutely explore those options and let them do those kind of things. There'll be lots of hiking and lots of exploring outside for us. I'm sure we'd like to try skiing at some point if we're ever in the mountains when there's snow, and all that. So, but no team sports probably for that year.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, because I'll be sad to not watch them play softball anymore. I really
Yeah.
did enjoy watching them like grow and excel at softball. So
That was the one team sport that they seemed to really get into in the past year or two was softball, and so we're going to miss. They kind of started on a rec team that we've been with for a couple of years now, and they've really enjoyed it. And so that part we will absolutely miss. But we'll get them back into it when we.
But we plan to play like if we have room, we plan to take like their ball and like and their gloves and still practice those kind of things if they want to continue with that.
I need somebody to play catch with me.
Planned downtime, how often? probably again one of those like learning curve things. Like I'm sure there will be lots of downtime, you know, where we know we want to like have them, all four of us want to journal every day. We want to try to like do family reading, like where we all sit down and read out of a book.
Yeah, I think there's another
every day.
There's another like
so
related
that'll be
question.
downtime, but
There was another related question around like how will you find me time, and I took that a couple ways. We'll get to one in a little bit, but
that's the big question. It's like the number one question.
But also like yes, like we're going to be living in small spaces, and you are going to need opportunities to get away, so to speak, right? Or have your personal time. So that'll be journaling. It'll be maybe the occasional
hotel stay,
or you know, Megan or I saying, "Hey, I'm going to go for a mile run," you know, 8-mile run some days. I don't know, you know, just to kind of like get away for a little bit. So we're gonna have to figure that out. But
yeah.
I know some days we've talked about like with my work, I may have to get dropped off at a Starbucks or something just so I can get some time to do what I need to from a work perspective. So
we can get school done.
Yeah, so we'll figure those things out. But we'll absolutely need like little breaks.
Yeah.
I love you. Just so we're clear on that. But yeah.
I don't know. Do we want to like keep going, or do we want to
get into it?
And well, I know, but do we want to keep going with? Because the next questions are hilarious. Actually, they come from some our friend Carla and Mike's kids, which are
no, just keep going. I'll chop it up later and whatever.
Like part 2, like where we answer the me time question and these funny kid questions.
I mean, should we just get into the other me time question now?
Sure.
Are you scared to talk about it or what? Look, some of y'all are nasty, okay? You ask really personal questions, and probably the number one question we've gotten, including questions from my mom, which is a little weird. Love you, Mom. But you guys are wondering how Megan and I are not going to get me time, but like our time, you know? Okay? Privacy. And I don't know if, you know, it's really rude of y'all to ask that question of us.
It's not rude.
We're prudes.
I would ask. Yeah, we're super prudes. Those of you that know us know that's a bold-faced lie.
Yeah. So, I mean,
honestly, I don't know how to answer that question.
We're not sure.
We're gonna figure it out.
It's very possible it's gonna be a pretty dry year. You know, we might have to like send the kids on a nature walk and be like, "Don't come back for at least 45 seconds," something like that. I don't know. We're unsure.
I feel like my face is red.
And it's one of the few times I've ever seen you get like a little nervous or something, which is funny.
Anyway.
We're recording this during the day, so Megan's not drinking or anything like that. I feel like right now, if she had had a couple of drinks, she'd be a little more mouthy about it. But to answer your question, we will find ways to do it without completely scarring our children. They won't know it's happening. They won't know it happened. Like we'll figure it out. We're not gonna be weirdos and do it with them sleeping in the bed. So that's creepy. So.
Okay.
But thank you all for being concerned about us.
We'll fill you in, like, you know, in a few months when we've figured it out. We'll let you know how we figured it out.
You're gonna fill them in? Like what? You're gonna FaceTime people or something? Like what do you?
No, we'll do another video and let them know how we figured it out.
That sounds so creepy. Like, yeah, hey, sign up for our OnlyFans account. Okay, we'll fill you in. Gosh.
All right, moving on.
Who are you?
Do we want to answer these kid questions, or do we want to get the girls involved in some of these?
Yeah, we can get the girls involved. So
part 2.
Part 2. Carla's children asked some questions that we thought were funny. So we're gonna let Emerson and Avery answer some of those questions.
They may not be able to answer some of them, but it'd be funny to hear what they have to say.
Yeah.
And if any of your other kids have funny kid questions, because kids are hilarious, feel free to let us know.
Yeah. So just so you know, the questions were why would they go swim somewhere else when they had a pool?
We did have a beautiful
pool. A pool at the last house. Don't they have enough money to live in a house? Can't they just live at the lake house?
And do they just pee in front of family members?
Yes. So we'll have to do a kids version edition later with the answer to those questions. So.
All right.
Was that all the ones we had?
That's it. I think.
Oh,
I don't
sweet.
know. Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
the toilet. We didn't talk about toilet.
Well, if you've seen the video now, you know what we got working.
That was
there.
all. That's probably our number 2 question. It's like the personal time and the toilet.
Yeah.
Those are the 2 big questions that we get all the time.
And so, I mean, just a little background on that. Like when the van that we rented, and again, we keep referring to that because that certainly gave us like design ideas, and that ended up being the company that we're using to help build the one that was their van that they traveled it in, and they actually had like a very full composting toilet that was hidden, could be easily accessible. In a way, gave you a little bit of privacy as you used it, so it was great and it was awesome. We were going to have that same model in ours, but then as we got to thinking about really how we're going to be using this, and
it's bigger, so the space.
And it's bigger, so it takes up more space, and we're trying to fit 4 people in a van versus 2. We wanted to figure out a way to save space, and so the toilet was one of the things that we had to really kind of think about. How often are we going to be using this thing, and what type?
Not very
are we
often,
gonna
right?
be
Who goes to the
using?
bathroom every day?
Fair question.
I'm just kidding.
But if you're just using it for number 1, then you have less requirements that you might need. If you're going to use it for number 2 all the time, then maybe you need to think of something. And when we thought about the number 2s, we figured we're going to be driving, we can stop at travel stops and things like that. If we're staying in a national park, they're often going to have restrooms that are good for that. And if we are coming to visit any of you all, we're going to use your house. Okay, so get ready for that.
Yep.
But other than that,
we're going to use your house for the laundry and our showers and the toilet and maybe the me time.
Yeah. Ooh, yeah. Don't tell them that. They won't let us stay. So we went with a smaller option. It's going to be hidden in some cabinets.
It's called a cassette toilet, right?
Yeah, you'll be able to pull it out on some sliders. And
my main thing was like I needed to have a toilet for like middle of the night, so I don't have to exit the van to then go find, because our daughters use the bathroom in the middle of the night. I use the bathroom in the middle of the night 9 times out of 10. So we need something in the van that's easy to just use it and then go back to bed.
Yes.
So that was a non-negotiable for me. So
it was non-negotiable, and so if you want to take a look at that, you can see it on the video, and I'll make sure that we link that as well. So.
I think that's it.
All right. If you guys got more questions, keep them coming. We'll keep doing this, and looking forward to spending this month kind of doing the normal Christmas thing, and then really get ready for what will probably be a very different January and February. So.
Yeah. All right.
Bye. Bye.